William Grace Frost. Love working with you. Love playing with you. Tell me about a story where you broke up with a fear.
Chris, I have a lot of stories about being in fear places.
Me too.
Many of them, near death kind of things. So one of them was I was late teens, probably maybe 19, 20, 21 years old, somewhere around there. And I was living on Cape Cod, and my family were sailors, my father and my brother in particular, and they loved to go out and do these races in a boat called a Flying Scot, 19-foot day sailor, jib and spinnaker. And I was not that interested in the sailing, but I was interested in watching. So there was one time where they were in a race out on Vineyard Sound, and I was following in a little 15-foot motorboat skiff by myself and following the race along, and out in the middle of open water, and come along halfway through the race or so, this deep, dense fog settled in on the Sound. And if you've ever been...
What did you feel as soon as that fog was there?
Well, expletive. Where am I? What have I gotten myself into?
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure I recognized the danger completely until I was completely socked in, as they call it, in pea soup. And I've never had this experience before. I've been in lots of fogs, like in a car or walking or somewhere, where as you're looking ahead, you're only able to see 10 feet, 15, whatever it is.
I've had that too, yeah.
And this was a situation where I'd never experienced this before, but because I was in the middle of the bay, as I turned around 360, I essentially could see a circle of opening around me, which was maybe, I don't know what to say, I'll call it somewhere between 25 and 50 feet beyond me, all the way around in a circle. So there I am in the middle of essentially the ocean or the bay, and lost. I have no idea. I don't have a compass. I have no idea which way I came, which way to direct. And all I could think to do was to just sit still and hope that it would pass in time. Well, shortly after cutting the engine and sitting there, I hear the sound very close of the Island Queen ferry.
When you first heard that sound, what happened in you?
Oh, my blood pressure went up. I just about wet my pants. I was looking around. I started spinning around, looking like, where's it coming from? Because with the sound, I couldn't even tell which direction it was coming from.
Yeah.
So I couldn't take evasive action. All I could do was sit and wait. And
did you have your hand ready? Was it a pull start, or what kind of start was it?
A little rubber push button thing with the throttle.
So you pushed it,
or a key and a push button throttle.
Were you ready with that, just in case? I can see myself going.
I don't remember. I think I was holding on to the steering wheel so tightly, that my knuckles were probably white.
Yeah.
And this was prior to having done any work around meditation or self-calming or any of that. I didn't have any of those tools, so I can't say that I took deep breaths and settled myself down or anything like that. I think I just basically stayed in a very tight, clenched, contracted, agitated state until at the very edge of my visual ability to see, I see the outer edge of the white wave coming towards me, being thrown off by the bow of the Island Queen ferry, which is, is essentially, you're looking up at
Yeah.
3 stories high of, cars and decking and everything. And it passed by me within that 50-foot range of being able to see it. And all I could do, I think I held my breath the entire time it was passing by. And then the waves were starting to toss my boat around and, rock me and rock me. But I think as soon as I saw that it was there, I thought, well, at least I'm not going to get crushed by it.
Right.
Then the next, fear was, are the waves coming off the
Flip you
boat
over.
gonna just take me out? And it wasn't that severe. It did toss me around a bit, but I was able to stay stable and stay upright. But oh my God, I I can feel it in my body right now as I describe it. I can feel the tenseness and the agitation and the abject fear of I am going to get crushed by the Island Queen fairy. And it passed by, and in time, I don't know how much time passed, but the fog started to lift. I could see farther and farther out. Um, and I, I guess at this point, I don't remember exactly. I mean, the fog must have lifted enough that I could start to see land or see something that gave me an orientation again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I turned on the motor and continued on. But I haven't spoken that story very often to many people, but it was one of those near-death things that I'll never forget.
That's a powerful story, and the way you told it, I could imagine myself there. And I've been in situations where fog, you didn't know which way is which, and or even in the middle of the woods where there wasn't one familiar landmark, and you go, which way do I go? Yeah, powerful story. What were the things that helped you, or when you look back, that would help you deal with those particular fears in those moments?
If it happened to me again today?
Yeah, if it happened to you again.
Number one, I would have had a compass with me.
Look, a compass can be a big deal. I mean, pointing you into what direction is.
It's like, what kind of idiot goes out into the middle of the sound without a compass, something to find their way home.
But that's the thing. You could see everything when you went out. You don't need a compass.
Right. It didn't occur to me.
Yeah.
And I was, I hadn't spent that much time, in the sound, on the water. I'm pretty much I love being in the water, but I'm not a very experienced boater.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly not in that 7-mile stretch between there and Martha's Vineyard. It's like being in the ocean.
Yeah.
So what else would I do besides a compass? Well, I certainly would use some mindfulness techniques. I would have. Well, I have a different philosophy about life now too.
What's your different philosophy about life now?
I don't fear death anymore.
How did that happen?
Oh God! through multiple experiences of coming close to it. I don't like pain. I don't know who does, but if I have a fear about it, it's more about being uncomfortable or being in pain. But the actual fact of my life being gone, I'm not afraid of that. I'm not that attached to my self-importance. It's like the world will go on. The world will do fine without me. My loved ones will be bereaved and grieving for a while, and then they'll get over that. And I don't know. I've done a lot of work around in meditation around just letting go of the body, letting go of attachment to life. I mean, I would be sad to die because I feel as though I still have more to give. I mentor young people. I mentor other men. I have gained a lifetime of experience and wisdom, and I believe it's my job to give back. And if that were cut short, in the moment I would feel sad, like I hadn't really fulfilled my purpose and my calling completely. Um, but I've lived a full life with just amazing experiences and so much love and so much community and so
Well, I
many
think you said
friends,
one of the big things,
experiences.
I think you said one of the big things about dropping the fear of death. I think really living as fully as you can drops some of that fear of death. I think some of the fear of death is that we haven't really lived. And,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
haven't really lived, I remember Sadhguru, actually, I think he told a story like this. If you get a loan from your banker and you have this money and you put it to good use, you actually use it, and that money makes you money, and you see your banker across the street, hey, how you doing over there? But if you take the money, it disappears, however, and you see your banker
yeah.
across the street, it's kind of like,
You spent it unwisely or on
yeah,
bills or on necessities or
whatever it is. And I think
yeah.
that's what key one of it is, just fully living, so you can appreciate that. And for me too, I'm not as afraid of death anymore either. And I don't like the pain. I wouldn't like the pain of it, but I like to go out in a positive way. Actually,
Mhm.
either it's like when you ride a roller coaster, it would be like, I'd rather go out.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have a number of stories about where I've been in situations where I've had the privilege of saving other people's lives. And so I guess there's a part of me that would like to go out, saving more lives, or
The heroic. Yeah.
or just my wife and I talk about just dying in each other's arms, and just in a loving embrace, or surrounded by, I have 5 sons, 3 biological sons and 2 stepsons,
Yeah.
um, and I'm about to become a grandfather in June for the first time, and so
Congratulations. Yeah.
being surrounded by family and friends and loved ones,
And when you say
that
that,
would be key.
that triggers me in this. So in this COVID-19 crisis that people are going through, a lot of people are actually dying alone, unfortunately.
Oh, very sad, very
Yeah, it is
sad.
incredibly sad. And I really feel for the people that go over that, because yeah, you would love to feel complete with the people that love you and give them, actually for me, it was almost give them a chance to say goodbye to you, so
Hmm.
they can get more completion for them, so
Yeah.
so nothing of my death stops them from living a full life themselves.
Yeah, yeah. It makes me realize there's another piece to what has helped me let go of the fear of death, is my oldest son, uh, he came out of the womb a daredevil. He just, you know, eh,
Yeah,
when other kids were, as a toddler, when other kids were swinging on the swings in the park, he was trying to shinny up the pole so he could see if he could tightrope walk across the top of the swing sets, and
yeah,
if there was a high precipice with a wall, he would be up on the wall, with, 40-foot drop on the other side. And,
yeah.
as a young parent, I go, it's like, grab that kid and get him back down here. And
That would have been tough for me.
he was so consistent with his daredevilness. And I can tell you dozens and dozens of stories about my
So he made
parent.
you, what happened? Did it finally make you let go of some of that fear, or how did that happen?
By the time my second son came around 3.5 years later, um, I was relaxed, and I was like, okay, they're going to do what they do. And he turned out to my first son turned out to be a dirt bike racer, and then a sports car racer, and then he became a coach of others racing cars. So he's out on a track doing 150 miles an hour in the passenger seat with an inexperienced driver, trying to teach them, when to brake and slow down, and all that kind of
How
thing.
did you drop that worry?
Just like this. He will, if he dies doing that, he will die with a smile on his face.
Yeah, I think sometimes
Um,
knowing that is
yeah.
powerful too. And
And
you're right.
he finally realized there was more to life than just racing, and he wanted to be helpful, but he still needed that adrenaline. So he became a EMT and then a paramedic, and now he's a firefighter.
Wow.
And so he's being of service to the world in wonderful ways, and still has the opportunity to get a rush and he is so calm. He's this kind of person that if there's everybody in chaos around you, he's like this guiding light right in the middle of the storm. He's amazing, and just through watching him, parenting him, learning from him, him being my teacher, I learned to let go of, and nobody wants to lose a child. And if something happened to him and he passed, I would be just crushed. And yet I know that I've practiced it enough. I know that there will also be the feelings and thoughts that he died doing what he came here to do. And
I love that.
that helps me live with that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It's powerful. And my daughter as well, Michaela, she's been an incredible teacher for me. Actually how to love more fully in even what you talked about too, that I thought I'd be devastated beyond belief if anything happened. And I would be, but I would get over it too. Now I want her to live a long, 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 happy life.
Of course.
But it's letting go of some of these fears. And I think what you just did is taking a deep breath, because I've lived in that fear breath area up here a lot. And when you tell your body you're out of fear, just simply with a deep breath can make a huge difference.
Well, and then there's the next breath.
And then there's the next breath. And so how would someone reach you, William, if they wanted to connect with you?
Oh, probably with my email is the best way. awakeheart@yahoo.com. I chose Awake Heart early on. I don't know what it is, 40. Somebody just told me, a IT guy says, you got to drop that Yahoo account because nobody uses Yahoo anymore. I go, man, Awake Heart has been my aspirational tagline ever since I started to wake up
I love
to
your
higher
tagline.
consciousness. So
Yeah.
awakeheart@yahoo.com. And I coach young boys. I coach men, people going through transition, anybody just needing support, greater emotional intelligence, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I have Chris Nielsen at Hotmail, and I wish I would have chosen, when you say that, I wish I would have chosen Awake Heart at Hotmail. It would have been that aspirational email that I could have looked at every single time.
Yeah.
And thank you, William, for your awake heart and or awakening heart that awakens.
Awaken. It's always a process, always awakening, always another layer.
That has the ability to also ring that true in other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for coming on here, and I loved the opportunity.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the opportunity to have this conversation. It's been very enjoyable for me.
Yeah, thank you so much, William.
Thanks.